So I got this comment on my video yesterday. In the last clip from 4:30 through 6:30 is kind of a useless idea because these parallel universe stories could be false, but how people explain on YouTube could be true for 100%. But no one really knows if these universes exist or not. By the way, it would make no sense to go inside a rocket and fly to another dimension. Because, 1, you would need to go into a wormhole. 2, it's highly impossible for us to dimension travel unless we have a person that is extremely intelligent to do that. And no, these are just corrections for the video. Well, Quincy, today I'm going to answer your questions. Okay, so first of all, the story that people explain on People How Do We Know It's 100%. So the stories that people explain on People How Do We Know It's 100% on Parallel Universe People. I'll explain. It could be something like, I like to call it a crossover, which is, I like to say it, which means a person and a scientist meet up and the scientist gives the person the information. 2, it could also be a gesture. Now, what is a gesture? Well, a gesture is a movement of part of the body, especially a hand or the head, to express an idea or meaning. So, kind of like sign language, but except it's with a person and a scientist. Their description, you can always look in a person's YouTube description. So for example, in the top 10 people who visited a parallel universe video, you can scroll down to their description and look for if there's scientific wording or anything, or extra information. He doesn't seem to have that, but he does have sources. That's an important thing to have. So sources where he got this from. So here, let's click on that. Okay. So he read off of this, so he didn't get it from himself. And yeah, he lists his sources, so that's an important thing to do. So I would say, I don't know, this isn't he read off of this, so he's being honest. Or there's scientists, and it's not easy to tell how they're scientists. I'll answer that later. Do these universes exist or not? So does Tauren exist? So I'll read the story Tauren again and find out. This time it has a little bit more information. I'm not sure. I'll just read it and we can find out if it's real or not. Okay, so one of the most perplexing events of the 20th century did not involve flying saucers. Conspiracy theories, a criminal act, or even strange creature sightings. It took place on a seemingly normal day in one of the most tedious, mundane places one could imagine. Airport Yet to this day, no one knows exactly what happened there, or why one average business traveler became the heart of an enigma largely forgotten by our modern world. So I can show you what the picture of the airport looked like. Oh, never mind. Files. I try to look it up. It is called Haneda Airport. So it's this place right here. Oh, it's actually kind of fancy. So it's this airport right here. And it is in Tokyo, Japan. Pretty fancy. Anyways, back to the story. Haneda Airport as it appeared in 1954, photographed by Rodney Stitch. The year 1954 was hotter than normal in Tokyo, but at Haneda Airport it was business as usual. That is, of course, until one unknown date when a routine European inbound plane dropped off its passengers. As the crowd made its way through customs, a neatly dressed middle-aged Caucasian man stepped up and told officials this was just a normal business trip for him. One of 3 so far this languages. In his wallet was a variety of currencies from various European countries, as if to verify his frequent flyer tendencies. When they asked him for his country of origin, things became strange. He casually stated that he was from Torrid, on the border between France and Spain. So it's between France and Spain. The officials told him that Torrid didn't exist, but he presented them his passport issued by the non-existent country of Torrid, which also showed visa stamps corroborating his previous business travels to Japan and other countries. Yet, when they called the company, he said he was having a meeting with. They had never heard of him or his company ever before that moment. The hotel he had reserved a room at no reservation for a person, and the bank listed on his checkbook appeared not to exist. So I can show you like a little map of where this guy was from, but it wasn't a place. See, you can see like, oh, that's not a place. That's like it's. So he claimed to be in Torrid, but you can see that's not a place because it's made up. So it was called the country of Andorra, believed to be Torrid. The beard man scoffed. Surely this was some elaborate practical joke for his benefit. Custom officials showed him a world map and pointed to the country of Andorra. Perhaps that was his real country of origin, and somehow he was either mistaken or having his own little joke. The man became irate, saying that Andorra didn't exist, but it was right where Torrid should be, his proud country that had existed for 1,000 years. Still in shock over his misplaced homeland, The mystery man was detained by customs and given a room at a nearby hotel for the night, while officials tried to figure out what was going on. The following morning, the mystery deepened. Torrid's one and only known resident completely vanished from his hotel room, which had been guarded by immigration officials all night long, so high-ranked guards. And to make matters worse, all of his personal documents, including his passport and his driver's license, all that stuff issued by the mystery country, vanished from the airport security room. Police and airport officials searched in vain for the mysterious man. It was as if the whole encounter had never actually happened. So sounds like he gone back in time. No documentation verifying the story has yet surfaced, but it was mentioned in several books, including The Directory of Possibilities, 1981, page 86, and Strange but True, Mysteries and Bizarre People, or Mysteries and Bizarre People, 1999, page 64. And given its puzzling ending, I doubt that any official would have written up a report concluding that the man and all of his documented advice simply vanished. So, the question is, could this man and other out-of-the-place travelers be from another dimension? Well, surprisingly, misplaced travelers, such as the businessman from Torrid, have disappeared on many occasions. In 1851, a man was found wandering. His name was Frankfurt and der Oder in northeast Germany, who claimed he was from a country called Laxaria on the continent of Sakarya or something like that. Another young man who spoke a completely unrecognizable language was caught stealing a loaf of bread in Paris in 1905. He said he was from Lisbia, which authorities assumed was Lisbon or Lisboa in Portuguese. Yet his language was not Portuguese. Did he recognize a map of Portugal as his homeland? Is Torrid out there somewhere? And what about Laxaria or Lisboa? Did these men fall backward through time or pass through dimensions? Or were they simply perpetrating a hoax or mentally ill? We don't know. I mean, this did happen by people, so I mean, maybe would be the answer. And the high-ranked people or the authorities also looked at the men's passport. So the answer could be maybe. My answer, I think, would be probably yes. I'm not sure, but I don't know. So let's go to the, and plus, if I had to look it up, I don't know if there is. If I had to look it up, I think it's just going to restate like the story of the man in Torrid. Okay, so here's Spain, here's France. Now let's see if there's any between Spain and France. Let's see if there's Turin. I don't think so. There's Turin, but I don't think there's a Turin. Yep, there's no Turin. Except for a Turin. There's a Turin, but there's no Turin. So I think it doesn't exist. So when you asked, let's see. When you said, by the way, it would make no sense to go inside a rocket and fly into another dimension. Well, I mean, kind of wrong there. Yes, it would be possible to fly into a rocket to fly into another dimension. So dimensions are not always through wormholes. They can be in space as well. You could go fly to where that wormhole is. If that rocket ship can go high enough in space, then you can certainly reach it. I believe dimensions are about, I'm guessing, if it takes a rocket roughly 2.5 minutes to get it into space. Depends if there's any effects getting the rocket into air. But then when you're flying to a dimension, I want to say it's like, I don't know, maybe, I'm not saying if it is, but maybe 20 minutes. Depends how fast the rocket is. So it just depends how fast the rocket is. You could fly to where, or if it's underground, then you have to go through underground transportation. What is a wormhole for people that don't know? Well, a wormhole, or Einstein-Rosen bridge, or Einstein-Rosen, short for Einstein-Roosevelt wormhole, is a speculative structure linking the disparate points in spacetime, and is based on a special solution of at separate points. So it's at two separate points. So keep that in mind. Two separate points. And so it's disparate points in space-time, and it's based on a special solution. So the Einstein field equations, the wormhole can be visualized as a tunnel with two ends at several points in space-time. I.E, different locations or different points in time, or whether wormholes actually exist, or both. Wormholes are consistent with the general theory of relativity by Einstein, but whether wormholes actually exist remains to be seen. Many scientists postulate that wormholes are merely projections of a fourth spatial dimension called analogous to how a two-dimensional, so 2D, being could experience only part of a three-dimensional 3D object. A wormhole could connect extremely long distances, so it depends either how long it goes, then it depends on its height. such as a billion light years or more. Short distances, such as a few meters, different universes, or different points in time. So that's a wormhole. I can show you a picture of one. Okay, I'm just inserting the... That's a picture of a wormhole. So that's a space wormhole. Now, a underground wormhole would be the same thing, but it's underground. It's like kind of like that. Kind of, maybe. I don't know. I never seen an underground wormhole before, but it's like that. 2. It's not highly impossible to dimension travel unless you need an intelligent person for it. Well, it is possible because if you ever heard of a person, I'm trying to think of a person that did it. Edward Cameron, look him up. He actually did it. So you can use a very intelligent person for it. All it needs, I think it needs, one important thing it definitely needs is good vision, because then you need to realize like where you're going and how it works and stuff before you can do that. How do I know this? Because I actually study a lot of science. So, or this is based off like space stuff, science. How can you tell if the person you got the parallel universe information from is a scientist? Well, if they have reasons for their information, so like if they have like reasons why, like for example, someone says parallel person came into Earth, you have to have an reason why. They recite information. They go back to their information and find more important stuff that they missed. Or they could do like scientific wording. Oh, stupid notification. Scientific wording, like for example, science is one, or what's a really big one? Data or hypotheses, anything like that can be used to show. And actually, how do I know this? Because I study a lot on science, so you can actually comment below any science question you have, and maybe I can get back to you at some point. I am very busy, but with like school and stuff, but I will get back to you if you put one in the chat. Depends, I know it, but you can put one in the comments. How to tell if a YouTuber is just reading off anything to get that information? Well, in their videos, if their eyes are in one spot, like this, or like their head's turning, then you can kind of tell they're reading off something. Or 2, their screen shines bright and you can see it through their eyes while they're reading something. Hope that answers your question. And remember, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications so you don't miss awesome videos like this. Like the video if you liked it, and comment below what was the most interesting part of this video, and comment below any science question you have. Peace.